Yeah, it feels like I never left, it's just so familiar. I spent so much time here in my career early on, and, it feels great being back in front of the Spag things.
And then for both you and Arielle, what was kind of your impression of how the offense was clicking today going up against a WNBA opponent?
Yeah, I think early on we were pretty good. We moving the ball a lot, getting good shots. I think maybe fatigue set in. They got a little bit aggressive and we turned it over too many times. We're still trying to build our chemistry a little bit, so there's going to be that type of up and downs during the game. We're just trying to figure it out, but I think this is a great learning experience for us to learn what works, what doesn't work. I think we're going to gain a lot of knowledge from this game.
We'll go Jason, then Chris, then Naomi. Players first.
I can't follow it up anyway. That's all. Sorry.
Courtney, right in front of you. You were talking about how familiar you are obviously with the building and the uniform and things like that, but is it really kind of different too with totally new people here?
Yeah, it's such a weird feeling. Like I keep saying, it is so different and new, but it's also so familiar because the Chicago sky, the uniform, everything, the ownership, everybody is the same. But then we have this whole new team and staff. But I think that the right people are here. And so it feels like this is the right place. It feels very familiar to the team that I was on. There's a lot of similarities between those two teams, just different players.
Chris.
Hey, Courtney. You get to play a little bit more with now in practice now with some live team action. What did you learn about the ways you can help better her offense, get her the ball in so many different ways? And she's that's 6 of evening.
Yeah, I think you kind of said it, just give her the ball and she kind of does the rest. She's so mobile and she has great hands, great finishing ability. I remember looking down at the box score, she's like 5'7", and I just remember those 2 misses, but she doesn't miss often, she's great around the rim. I think pick and roll game is going to continue to get better. We got a lot of reps in practice early, and so I think that helped tonight.
Naomi, second row.
Hey, Courtney over here. Hi. You were able to really contribute on both sides of the ball tonight. And I just want to know, how are you feeling physically being in year 15? And it's just the preseason, but how are you feeling being able to contribute the way you were able to tonight?
Yeah, it feels good to be back into like the role that I think I'm best at. This is a big reason why I came here, is because I think, Tyler was willing to see what I can do and how I can contribute. And it felt comfortable. It felt good. Obviously, I'm not in the tip top shape that I need to be in. Like you said, it is preseason, so we have time for that. But I think that with the ball in my hands and being able to play the 2-man game with these post players, it's going to open up a lot of things for us.
We'll go Melissa, then Carly, then Julia.
For both of you guys, just so we can understand.
Okay.
For both of you guys. So we can understand the offense a little bit better. Could you both describe maybe like the biggest difference between the offense that you were running in New York and Washington and what you're running now?
Biggest difference? I would probably say the pace of which we want to play at. Obviously, we want to bring the ball up fast, but sometimes, we need to bring it up fast and then get into our sets, not necessarily just continue to push to where we create turnovers for ourselves.
I think for me and us, it's about it's going to be someone's night different. Someone's different every night. We're not going to rely heavy on, the same person. We're going to share the ball, and whoever's night that's where we're going to ride her out. And we're going to need big nights from everyone, because we don't have that 20-point, 25-point scorer. And that's okay. That's how we built the roster on purpose, and just being able to, every single night, it'll be somebody different, and we have the depth and we have the roster to do that.
Arielle, we know what you can bring defensively, and we spoke to Coach Marsh about what this defensive identity can be. When you look at what you guys have done just in these last 2 games, what are things that you guys think can build on defensively, and what are things that kind of stood out so far in what your defensive game from you personally and then as a team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is that we're able to really cover for each other. There were moments where it probably didn't look great, but we figured it out. And I think that's something that's really exciting for me as somebody who likes to pressure the ball, because I know that I have my team behind me if I am guarding the point guard, and vice versa for our post players, knowing if they have to help, that we have their back too.
Well, kind of building on that, we talked about this a little bit in
Mm-hmm.
preseason, just of how you can pressure differently on the perimeter when you have shot blockers like Elizabeth
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Camila. What does that feel like in practice now that you've gotten some time with them?
I mean, it feels great. Obviously, we're still building our chemistry. But to know that you have that behind you, you kind of think a little differently. You can kind of go for a little bit more. So it's nice.
And then Courtney, you talked a little bit about screening with Camila. I'm curious, when she connects on those screens, we can see how physical they are, but it often feels like she's maybe moving a little bit into her role quickly. How do you work on kind of that partnership with her as that primary point guard?
I think it's just about the angles. I want her to move out quickly because she's just so mobile, and post players just have a difficult time keeping up with her. And I want to be able to hit her early so that she can just really get into her stride. So yeah, we worked a lot on just angles because of how people guard me in the ball screen. But I think, tonight she was really good, really physical in screening, and she's going to get layups. I think she understands that if she can screen the way she does.
Any more players? Back row.
For Courtney, you're obviously one of the veterans on this young team, and I know Haley in particular has talked a lot about how she really looks up to you. And I was kind of wondering, how has it been working with the younger players, imparting your very, very vast experiences and knowledge of the league?
Yeah, I mean, Haley's great. She's like a sponge. She listens to everything I say, but I think the best part of it is that we can compete in practice and we're going to make each other better. I mean, she plays me hard and she's going to make me better just as much as I'm going to try and make her better.
Good, great, second.
Conway Winsider, I know this was a preseason game, but for some of the young players, was it important to get a win today?
It's always important to get a win. I think it just, that's why we're out here. We want to learn from it, and but it's always better to learn from things when you get the dub, for sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Coach. Okay. Thanks.
Tyler, who should we address these questions to, just to clarify?
Me, please, so we can get out of here.
Last 2 minutes, you have two players. Van Lith is competing for a spot in the rotation. Wilson is competing for a spot on the team, and you got a lot of big plays from them. How is that reflective of what you've seen from them in training camp?
Yeah, it's I've spoken to it about Haley, but I just talked to the team and I told them that's the fearlessness that we want to have and we want to play with. That group has never played together. Maddie played the three a little bit for the last few minutes, and she gave me a look like, "What do you mean I'm playing the three?" But no, it's the kind of attitude that we have in terms of just everyone being open to do anything, being adaptable. You never know what situation you're going to be in. And at the end of the day, these players want to play. And so however you can do that, whatever position it puts them in, they're willing and open to doing so. So it was good to see them out there tonight. Yeah, big man.
Okay, Julia,
Gotta wait,
Chris, then
It seemed like Haley, kind of on that note, was really challenged by Natisha Heidemann and Courtney Williams in the first half. What did you like about how she responded to and kind of worked through that challenge?
Yeah, it's tough. It's our first real look at W action. And so and I mean those are certified WNBA guards, and that's the kind of pressure that she's going to feel night in and night out. So it's good to get her used to that tonight, and we'll make our adjustments moving forward. But there's nothing like true hands-on experience, and so I'm sure she'll learn from the minutes that she got today. And there's a lot of good things to take from it and some things to clean up, but that's across the board. And so we know the areas that we can clean up, and we'll address that once we get back.
Coach, in the last 5 minutes or so of the game, you kind of went with a very similar lineup. I know a couple of players kind of came out, and what were you looking to see out of that core of that lineup that you had?
The group that finished the game?
Yeah.
Just competing. Just competing is it was tough. I think that we were up and down during the game. Our offense was up and down with kind of getting stagnant at times and whatnot. We missed some shots, but Minnesota missed some shots too. It wasn't necessarily what we were doing defensively. They had open ones and they just missed. And that's not always going to be the case. But I think for our team, it was just the fight and the resolve that we had. We sustained the runs that they went on, no matter which unit was in the game. And then that last unit that finished out, I was just so glad to see the fight and competition that they put forth.
Carly, Brian.
Okay.
Coach, just speaking on the defensive identity, you guys had 11 steals, 6 block shots, also were able to create 16 points off 18 turnovers. You kind of emphasize what this defensive identity could be in pregame, but is this the type of tenacity and grit that you want to see out of this team? And what are things that you saw defensively that you guys believe you can build on?
Yeah, I think our ball pressure was pretty good for the most part. I think our transition defense has to get better and will get better. And then we can, we fouled a little bit too much than I would like, but that's kind of what you get sometimes when you pressure it the way that we want to. So it's just a matter of being able to pressure it, but also stay in discipline. And so Minnesota, again, is a team that they fight for what they want from an offensive standpoint. They get to their spots, they maintain their spacing, they draw fouls, and so we just got to do a little bit better job of staying on 2 feet and showing our hands at times. But I was pleased with the overall ball pressure, and it's still good to see that they're hanging on to the mentality that we want to have in terms of the physicality aspect.
Coach, I wanted to get your thoughts on Arielle's playmaking. I saw some plays out there where Camilla was getting some really good deep touches at the post.
Yeah, I spoke before the game about Arielle being more of a scorer, but a lot of that is because people have to react to her from a defensive standpoint, which opens up everything for other people. And so her having that aggressiveness isn't just so that she can get buckets, it's so that she can create for others too, because she has that ability. And that's how we want our offense to flow. It's kind of what I've spoken to a lot about Angel and Camilla's dominance inside, is because they command attention, and when you command attention, that means somebody else is open, and then we have to be willing passers when we do have those opportunities to facilitate.
Let's front row.
Son was very into the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Wait, after a game, where does your eye go first, like on the stat sheet?
I think the hustle stats, the points in the paint, the second chance opportunities, and the transition. It's areas that we'll clean up. It's not something that we're going to overreact to off of one preseason game, but certainly areas that we can address moving forward, and hopefully we see an improvement in this next game against Minnesota.
Naomi, second row.
Coach, you spoke about wanting the players to create opportunities for Camilla and Angel. And tonight, Courtney, I think about 4 of her 5 assists were to Camilla. So what is it like to kind of see her, a veteran like her, actually, get into the system and demonstrate what you're hoping to see from this team moving forward?
Yeah, I think you saw in a short period of time, you saw a glimpse of the versatility of Camilla. You saw some rim runs in transition. You saw some post ups on the block. She missed a couple, but she made a couple as well. She got a couple in the pocket and pick and roll. That's how we want her to play. That's where we want her to play. We want her to be versatile. We want Angel and E to be versatile as well. And so everything that we do is about maintaining space and creating space. And so it was good to see Camilla thriving in those areas and in those limited minutes, but it's certainly areas that we want to continue to exploit moving forward.
Nikias on Zoom, please unmute.
Nikias.
Hi, Coach. Congrats on the win. Just wanted to ask, through the first 2 preseason games for you, how would you evaluate where you guys are in terms of the spacing and how quickly players are getting to their spots?
Man, you caught me off guard because Nikias usually asks difficult questions, but no, it was good to see. I think that we talk a ton about spacing and having the vision of when one person is involved in action, what that looks like for myself. So if I'm Angel and I see Camilla going into a pick and roll, where am I now spacing to, and how does it affect everyone else's movement? And if I'm Kia and Arielle and Sloot on the perimeter, where am I going to create space for those rolls to the rim and those kickouts and everything? And so it's a work in progress. We're not a finished product by any means, but we're getting there. And I think for the large part of that first quarter, especially, you saw how we want to play, the pace that we want to maintain, the space that we want to create, and it looks good at times, and at times, it doesn't. But again, it's areas that we're going to continue to improve on.
Thank you.
Second row.
Coach, so you did say you had Maddie play the 3. What was your reasoning behind kind of seeing how she looked at that position?
Yeah, I think that it was less about seeing her at that position and more about making sure that we stay true to giving everyone minutes tonight. We wanted it got to a point in the game where I hadn't really gotten Morgan in much, and I wanted to see what she looked like with those lineups because she played so well in training camp and against Brazil. And so that's just kind of what it turned out to be. And that we saw Maddie's versatility all throughout Notre Dame. She played the 3 early on, she played the 4, and she played the 5. And so, I mean, she was open. Yeah, I know. She was open to doing it, and I was just glad to see that we worked together as a unit for those last 4 or 5 minutes. So
Thank you, coach. Thanks, everyone.
thanks. You ready?